What if the greatest secret of spiritual history was never destroyed, only buried within you? What if Mary Magdalene was never the sinner they said she was, but the keeper of a divine truth powerful enough to change the world? And what if her silenced voice is the same voice inside your heart, waiting to rise again and remind you who you truly are? For centuries, the name of Mary Magdalene was twisted, her story rewritten, and her light buried under layers of misunderstanding. But now, in our time of confusion, disconnection, and emotional struggle, her truth is returning, not from dusty books, but from within human hearts that are ready to remember. Her story is not only about religion, it is about freedom, courage, and the rediscovery of the sacred feminine, the lost balance between love and wisdom that the world has long ignored. Think about our lives today: constant noise, endless pressure, a world that tells us to keep running but rarely asks us to feel. Many people are successful but empty, connected online but lonely inside. This imbalance is not new. It began when humanity silenced the feminine: compassion, intuition, softness, and care, the same energy Mary carried. Her voice calls us to awaken, to heal our emotions, and to see the divine not as something distant, but as something alive within every soul. If you stay until the end of this video, you'll understand not only who Mary Magdalene truly was, but also what her forgotten wisdom means for you today, how to heal, love, and live with inner peace again. So take a breath, open your heart, and let this story unfold. And before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, so you can keep walking this path of awakening with us. Long ago, the story of Mary Magdalene was changed to hide something powerful: the truth of the divine feminine. She was not the broken sinner the world was told to see. She was a woman of deep understanding, courage, and compassion. But in a world ruled by fear and control, her light was too bright. The early leaders of faith could not allow people to believe that a woman could hold divine wisdom equal to men, or that each human could have a direct connection to God without a wall of authority in between. So they buried her truth under labels, shame, and silence. This pattern did not end in ancient times. It continues today in many quiet ways. Look around our world. How many times have you seen someone with a kind heart being told to stay quiet, don't be too emotional, or just follow the rules? How often are intuition and empathy seen as weakness, while cold logic and speed are praised as strength? This is how the silencing continues. The same spirit that once tried to hide Mary's truth now hides the inner truth within each of us. We are taught to fit in, to obey, to trust the outer world more than our inner voice. Over time, we forget who we are. We stop listening to our hearts, and that silence becomes a wound, the wound of separation from our own soul. This emotional silence is one of the deepest forms of pain in modern life. People carry it as stress, anxiety, and the feeling of being unseen or unheard. We fill our days with noise to avoid the quiet, because in silence the truth tries to speak again. But awakening begins when we dare to listen, when we finally allow ourselves to speak, to feel, to question, and to love without fear. We start to reclaim the lost voice of the feminine within us. This is how we begin to heal, by understanding that Mary's story is our story, and that the voice once silenced by power is now rising again through every heart that chooses truth over fear. When old stories spoke of Mary Magdalene being freed from 7 demons, they did not mean monsters or evil spirits. They meant the inner struggles that every human must face on the path to awakening. These demons are the 7 heavy emotions that block our light: fear, guilt, shame, anger, grief, doubt, and pride. Each one hides a lesson, and each one waits to be transformed into strength. The ancients knew that before we can find peace, we must face these shadows with courage and compassion. Mary's story reminds us that healing is not about escaping pain, but walking through it with awareness and love. In life, every person carries their own 7 shadows. Fear holds us back from love. Guilt whispers that we are not enough. Shame teaches us to hide our true self. Anger burns quietly until it becomes exhaustion. Grief freezes the heart. Doubt clouds the mind, and pride closes the door to humility. These emotions are not enemies, they are mirrors showing us where light is missing. When we face them gently, we begin to see that pain is not punishment, it is a teacher calling us home. There are moments in life when everything feels heavy. Relationships break, trust is lost, dreams fall apart. Many people try to escape these feelings by pretending to be fine, but true healing begins when we stop running. Just as a serpent sheds its old skin, we must shed what no longer belongs to us. The serpent was once a sacred symbol of transformation, not of evil, but of renewal. It reminds us that what seems dark often hides the seed of new life. Every tear, every heartbreak, every struggle carries wisdom waiting to be seen. When we accept our emotions, we purify them, and the energy once trapped in pain becomes light again. This is how Mary's 7 demons become our 7 steps toward freedom. She teaches us that healing is not about perfection, it is about honesty. To look within without fear is the first act of true love for the self. And in that love, the divine begins to rise again, calm and whole, from within our very being.
The divine feminine is not just about women. It is the soft, nurturing, and wise energy that lives in every human heart. Mary Magdalene carried this light, the power of compassion and deep understanding that heals where reason alone cannot. But for centuries, the world forgot her message. Humanity began to worship logic, speed, and control, leaving no space for feeling, patience, or care. The balance between the masculine and feminine was lost, and with it, the sense of harmony that once guided life. The result is what we see now. A world full of progress, but empty of peace. People run faster, yet feel more lost. They know more, yet understand less. The divine feminine is the missing breath in our busy world, the energy that whispers, slow down, listen, feel. It is the part of us that holds space for others, that forgives when the mind says no, and that loves even when things are broken. When this energy is ignored, people begin to feel disconnected, relationships lose depth, and hearts become tired. That is why stress, loneliness, and anxiety have become normal in modern life, because the world has forgotten how to be gentle. Mary's message was not only spiritual, it was deeply human. She showed that love is the highest form of intelligence, and that softness is not weakness, but strength that heals and connects. Every act of kindness, every moment of true listening, every tear shed with empathy brings the divine feminine back to life in this world. It returns through small actions, comforting a friend, caring for the earth, creating something beautiful, or forgiving someone who once hurt you. These are sacred acts of balance. The rise of the divine feminine is not about replacing the masculine. It is about remembering that both are needed. When the mind and the heart walk together, wisdom becomes whole again. And as more people awaken to this truth, a quiet revolution begins, one that does not shout or fight, but heals through love, tenderness, and truth. This is how the world remembers what it once forgot.
In every heart, two energies live side by side, the gentle flow of the feminine and the focused fire of the masculine. These are not genders, but inner forces that shape every thought, emotion, and action. When they move together in harmony, we feel peace. When they fight, we feel lost and divided. Mary Magdalene and Yeshua were not only teacher and student, they were symbols of this perfect balance: wisdom and love, action and stillness, mind and heart. Their bond showed that true power is not control, but unity. It was a mirror of how the universe works: the sun and moon, day and night, strength and rest, all in constant dance. Today, many people live only from one side. Some move through life in endless doing, chasing goals, working hard, always fighting to prove worth. This is the wounded masculine, strong but disconnected, busy but empty. Others live only in emotion, feeling deeply but struggling to act or decide. This is the wounded feminine, open but uncertain, kind yet easily broken. Both sides are missing the other half. The world has taught us to value one and fear the other, but real wholeness comes when we let them meet within us. Think of a tree. Its roots, the feminine, hold it in peace, and its branches, the masculine, reach for the sky. Without roots, it falls. Without branches, it never grows. In the same way, we must ground ourselves in love while acting with courage. When a person learns to listen before acting, to care while leading, to feel before speaking, the inner marriage begins. The sacred union is not an outside relationship. It is a deep alignment inside the soul. When the heart and mind work as one, decisions become clear, relationships become calmer, and life begins to flow with purpose. The battle between doing and being ends, and something higher takes its place: balance. This is the harmony Mary and Yeshua carried, and it still waits to awaken in each of us, reminding us that the real temple of divine union is not in stone, but within the human heart.
Mary Magdalene carried a truth that frightened those who sought control, that the divine lives within every human being, not only in temples or through chosen leaders. Her message was simple yet dangerous. Each soul could know God directly through love, awareness, and inner stillness. This kind of freedom could not be ruled, so her name was changed, her wisdom buried, and her image turned into a warning instead of an inspiration. The same fear that silenced her long ago still moves quietly in our world today, wherever systems prefer obedience over awakening. Many people are taught to follow, not to question, to repeat, not to feel. But Mary's message was never about rebellion against others. It was about awakening from the prisons built inside the mind. In every age, those who live with open hearts and clear minds have faced resistance. Truth has always challenged comfort. Even today, we can see this in modern forms, in workplaces where honesty is punished, in societies where appearance matters more than sincerity, or in systems that value power over compassion. But whenever one person dares to think freely, the light spreads a little further. The spirit of Mary Magdalene lives in anyone who refuses to stay silent when their soul whispers, "This is not truth." She teaches that real strength is not about fighting the world, but about standing in calm certainty even when others doubt you. The world often fears people who cannot be easily controlled, those who follow the quiet guidance within instead of the noise outside. Yet these are the people who bring change. They remind others that freedom begins when we stop giving our power away. Trusting your own heart, your intuition, your direct experience of the divine. This is the very power that was hidden for so long. The more we awaken to it, the weaker fear becomes. The real revolution does not start in governments or religions. It begins when one person decides to think, feel, and love without permission. That is the power they feared, the light of self-knowing, alive again through every awakened soul who remembers that the divine has never been somewhere far above, but quietly waiting within.
There is a sacred flame inside every human being, a quiet power of compassion, intuition, and deep wisdom. This is what the ancients called the divine feminine. Mary Magdalene carried this flame and lived it openly. She taught that the divine feminine is not about gender, but about balance, the part of us that feels instead of fights, heals instead of hides, creates instead of controls. When this flame burns dim, the world becomes cold and divided. We see this today in the rush of modern life, endless noise, competition, and loneliness. Many feel empty because they have forgotten to listen to their own hearts. Mary's story reminds us that the return of the divine feminine begins not in temples, but in the soul that learns to be gentle again. The sacred feminine is the energy that holds, nurtures, and forgives, the mother who does not punish but understands. In every culture, this wisdom once guided people to live in harmony with the earth, to honor life in all forms. But as power shifted toward control and domination, this sacred energy was dismissed as weakness. Mary Magdalene's silencing was part of this loss. Her message of inner knowing, of trusting the quiet voice within, was replaced by fear and hierarchy. Yet even buried, the feminine cannot die. It waits beneath the surface of our lives like a seed under winter soil, ready to rise again when love calls it forth. When we awaken the divine feminine within, we begin to see through the eyes of compassion. We stop chasing perfection and start embracing what is real. We begin to forgive ourselves and others, to see connection instead of separation. The return of this energy is the healing of humanity's greatest wound, the forgetting of our wholeness. You can feel it whenever you choose kindness over judgment, silence over noise, and truth over appearances. This is what Mary taught through her presence, not through sermons, but through the way she lived, through the calm strength of one who knows who she is. The divine feminine returns each time a heart opens again to love without fear, and in that moment the world remembers what it means to be whole. The story of Mary Magdalene is not only about history, it is about you, me, and the world learning to heal what was broken. For centuries, her truth was hidden, yet it never truly disappeared. It lived in art, in whispers, in dreams, and in the quiet knowing of souls who felt there was more to the story. Now, as we begin to remember her again, we are also remembering the missing part of ourselves, the union of the divine masculine and feminine, the balance between thought and feeling, action and stillness. This return is not a loud event. It happens quietly, inside the human heart, like dawn rising after a long night. Mary's story calls us to rebuild our connection with truth and with each other. She reminds us that love is not weakness, and silence is not emptiness. They are spaces where divine understanding grows. In a world where many chase status, success, and approval, her message feels like a breath of air after a long storm. She shows that true power is gentle, that real wisdom speaks softly, and that awakening is not an escape from life, but a deeper way of living it. Her legacy invites us to become both student and teacher, learning from life's pain, and then turning that pain into light for others. Today, people everywhere are awakening to this same light. We see it in those who choose kindness in the face of cruelty, who help others without needing to be seen, who trust their hearts even when the world laughs. The return of the divine feminine is not about one woman, one religion, or one culture. It is about the rise of balance, compassion, and truth across the human story. Each time you listen to your inner voice instead of the noise around you, Mary's spirit lives again. Each time you forgive, you heal another piece of what was broken. The light she carried never left. It only waited for us to see it. And now, as hearts awaken and stories unfold, the divine within us begins to shine once more, reminding the world that the truth can be hidden but never destroyed.
Mary Magdalene's story is not just an ancient mystery, it is a mirror for our time. Her journey reminds us that truth can be hidden but never destroyed. For centuries, her name was changed, her power buried, and her wisdom forgotten. Yet her message lives again because it speaks to something eternal, the part of every soul that longs to be free, seen, and whole. She teaches us that we do not need temples, titles, or approval to find the divine. We only need an open heart, quiet courage, and the willingness to see the sacred in ourselves and in others. The world today is full of noise, confusion, and pressure to be something we are not. Many people feel lost, chasing meaning in a world that often forgets the spirit. But Mary's story gives us another way, a way of peace, simplicity, and truth. She reminds us that healing begins when we stop running and start listening. Every act of kindness, every moment of honesty, every quiet prayer is a step toward awakening. The light she carried is not gone, it is waiting in each of us, ready to rise again. To remember Mary Magdalene is to remember the divine feminine, the heart that loves deeply, forgives freely, and stands strong even in silence. It is to restore balance to a world that has forgotten how to feel. Her story shows that no matter how much truth is hidden, it always finds its way back through those who are ready to live it. You are part of that return. Every time you choose compassion over fear, truth over comfort, and love over control, you awaken what was once buried. The divine does not live far away, it breathes in your every moment. And when you remember that, you carry forward the light that can never, ever be silenced.